An emotional week for one Arlington resident who panicked when his pickup truck was stolen. But by week's end, this retired disabled veteran was grateful for the overwhelming kindness of area residents. We have the emotional story. ACMi News talks to a state rep about Arlington's upcoming Lunar New Year celebration at Town Hall. This in wake of the tragedy in California, which has once again stunned the nation. And what a year 2022 was here at ACMi News. Want to see what we've been up to in recent months? And more importantly, do you wish to take part? This is your TV station. Hey, look us over. ACMi News starts right now.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
Arlington resident John Versackas has had better weeks. It began with an appalling crime, but ended with John's gratitude for the community. Hi, I'm Summer Maxwell.
And I'm James Milan. We're really glad you could join us today. You may have heard that Versackas had his truck stolen last week. The retired disabled veteran had his wheelchair and walker in the truck. Just days later, police recovered John's ride in Cambridge and returned it.
The wheelchair is broken, and John's walker was found trashed in the bed of the pickup. Area residents rushed to help John and his wife Doreen in their time of need. I talked to John and Doreen when their truck was recovered. John tells me he's grateful that he lives in a town full of generous people.
People have donated walkers and donated all kinds of money to help me out, and I'm just I'm overwhelmed completely. I never expected that there are good people out there.
Arlington resident John Versackas was awoken at 3:30 a.m. earlier this week by the sound of his dog barking, and Versackas was shocked to notice his Honda pickup had been stolen right out of his own driveway here on Gordon Road. Not only did thieves make out with the pickup, but also Versackas's walker wheelchair inside.
The morning we realized the truck was gone, it was about 3:30 in the morning, and she looked out the window and said that the truck was gone. My dog was barking. And I said, there's no way the truck is gone. I can't believe it's gone. She says, yes, it is. I looked out and I started having anxiety attacks. I couldn't even call the police. I was just a wreck.
A string of other vehicle break-ins has happened in Versackas's neighborhood recently. But today, the truck is back safely in his driveway thanks to the vigilance of George Gergliatos, a local who saw the truck parked on Franklin Street in Cambridge and immediately contacted authorities. Just another example of the importance of staying alert and how community members can help each other out in times of need. Even though the theft of a handicapped veteran's vehicle is a despicable act, Arlington PD's Captain Flynn says the incident has only brought out the very best in the community.
It's a sad incident, but it also, has a little shining undercoat to it. We've been inundated with calls with people that want to help. The public has really stepped up, and they've had a chance to shine, and they sure have. So the calls with all kinds of equipment. I had a call today from a gentleman who had an electric wheelchair available. So we're sharing that information with the family, and I know they're very, very happy and glad that people are stepping up. So an unfortunate situation, but it has a silver lining.
Unfortunately, the thieves trashed the truck. They also managed to rack up 2 parking tickets with the city of Cambridge that Versackas may be forced to pay himself. But what Versackas is feeling most right now is gratitude.
Never expected the kindness of the people in this town, veterans people in general, people from all over Arlington. And when the truck was stolen, I was so upset. I said, oh, these bastards, what's going on? And people have just got me through this with their kindness and the way they've been good to me. I still feel like worn out from this whole episode, but the people have saved me and got me through this with their kindness and their goodness. And I'm so grateful, so grateful. This is changing my life. The good people in this world has showed me the way. I'll tell you, what I endured was I was all stressed out and so upset. I've been sick, but the support of everybody has got me through it. And I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the kindness and the goodness of everybody involved in this situation. And there's been a lot of people. It's been unbelievable. And I thank God for the goodness of all these people in the town of Arlington, the police department, just strangers come out of nowhere to help me and support me and give donations to me. I'm just so grateful. And I thank everybody, and I thank this town for the wonderful people that live here. I even feel a little bit safer after this because I feel like people are watching my home now. And it's tough to be handicapped because you really can't protect yourself as good as you would when you were younger.
As of this recording, Arlington police still have no leads on who may have stolen the truck. Anyone with any information on this truck theft or any of the break-ins in the neighborhood should reach out to the Arlington Police Department. John says so many of you helped out that he's inundated with donations and equipment. We also just learned that John will not have to pay the 2 Cambridge parking tickets.
And he tells ACMi News whatever he can't use, he'll donate to disabled veterans who can use it. John truly is paying it forward.
Meantime, as of this broadcast, police are still searching for suspects. If you have any information, you're asked to call Arlington Police at 781-643-1212.
What began as a 4-car fender bender on Park Avenue quickly escalated into a major cleanup operation. It happened in the late afternoon hours of Wednesday, January 25th, after a traffic accident on Park Avenue. According to police, after the collision, a truck involved in the collision was leaking diesel fuel, which managed to spill over a sizable portion of Park Avenue and all the way down the hill to Mass Avenue. Captain Richard Flynn of the APD picks up the story from there.
Up here at the intersection of Park Ave and Appleton Street, we had a box truck that was coming down Park Avenue, and a vehicle came out of Appleton Street to come across to head into Arlington and ended up striking the side of the box truck. And that actually chained into another couple of accidents, so it was actually 4 vehicles involved. But really what was most concerning was the strike of the box truck was on the driver's side, so we had some fuel leakage on the roadway. So they had to do a closure up here. They had to reroute some of the traffic, and they were able to get the fuel all cleaned up. And luckily, no one was really hurt. And it's another instance where you need people to. This intersection here requires some cooperation and requires people to pay attention to the signage and yield properly to oncoming traffic. So that was really what happened up there.
It was crazy because it was the afternoon rush,
Yeah.
but it's also dangerous because the streets were kind of icy, and then you add diesel fuel to it, and you got a cocktail for disaster.
Had a little bit like a perfect storm. It had a little bit of everything, but the officers did a nice job. And again, accidents do happen. We understand that. And we do our best to try and educate the public a little bit. And I guess if the message is anything, it's, when you're in town, you see the sign is right here, speed limit in town is 25 miles an hour, unless it's posted otherwise.
Portions of the intersection at Mass and Park Aves were closed off for well over an hour as road crews, as you just saw, used Quickie Dry, a granular clay, to soak up the fuel. By Wednesday night, everything was back to normal. Arlington's town election is now set for April the 1st. And no, I'm not going to make any reference to April Fool's Day. 7 seats are up for grabs this year. 6 incumbents have already taken out nomination papers last month for 4 races. And this week, 2 new names have joined the growing list of candidates. First, the new names. For Select Board, John D. Leone. You'll recall he lost in last year's town moderator race after serving as moderator for 13 years. And this week, he issued a press release. You'll hear more about that in just a moment. For School Committee, Laura B. Gittleson, who took out papers recently as well. The other 6 people who took out papers on December 8th are Select Board incumbents Leonard Diggins, the board chair, and the vice chair, Diane Mahan. For School Committee, incumbents Liz Exton, who is committee chair, and Paul Schlickman. And finally, for Town Clerk, incumbent Juliana Brazil. For Board of Assessors, Mary Winstanley O'Connor. Again, April 1st is the annual town election. To learn more about it, just go to the town webpage, arlingtonma.gov/election.
As we told you, John Leone makes his case for his candidacy for a seat on the select board. In his press release this week, Leone said, quote, "I believe that I can bring an energy and a direction of purpose to the select board that is sorely needed at this time. The combination of my years as town meeting member and town moderator and my deep understanding of the way our town government functions and its finances makes me the right choice for select board." To see John Leone's statement in its entirety, just go to Your Arlington's webpage, yourarlington.com. Again, that's yourarlington.com.
In nearly all Asian countries, including China, it's the Year of the Rabbit. The holiday, which is also known as Chinese New Year and Spring Festival, is upon us. It officially kicked off on Sunday, January 22nd, and can go for up to 16 days. Arlington will celebrate the Lunar New Year at Town Hall on February 2nd. This year's celebration is especially poignant given some recent reported cases of anti-Asian hate crimes. ACMi News talked to a state lawmaker about this year's event and what it means for a community searching for a peaceful solution.
The Lunar New Year event was announced by Arlington's Human Rights Commission, with programming set to include traditional Chinese New Year songs, Chinese musical dance performances, and what we're being told, lots of food. Obviously, this is supposed to be a happy time and occasion, but nationwide, it has been marred greatly by the tragedy that occurred in Monterey Park, California, January the 21st, when a man entered a ballroom dance studio and then opened fire, killing at least 11 victims, all in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. According to reports, the gunman then took his own life. Recently, I spoke to Representative Sean Garbley of the 23rd Middlesex District, and he tells us he's pleased that celebrations like the event here will proceed as planned. No doubt the Lunar New Year is a way to bring the community together here in Arlington and get the word out about the horrifying surge of anti-Asian hate incidents in the last 3 years of this COVID pandemic.
I'm really excited that the Human Rights Commission and the town of Arlington has come together to put forward this exciting Lunar New Year event to celebrate the year of the rabbit and the Asian culture for East and Southeast Asia. It's going to be a really exciting event. I look forward to attending, and I look forward to seeing many Arlington residents at the event to celebrate Asian culture, to celebrate music, dance, and the most important part, coming together and really celebrating the culture and the new year, and wishing everyone a happy and successful and healthy new year. I think it's important to celebrate this wonderful occasion every year. And I think the event coming up next week is about love and only love, and coming together as a community to make sure we speak in one collective voice against hate and for the furtherance of love and a community that only knows love. And I can't think of a better way to come together. And by the way, this event was planned before the mass shooting.
Right.
But it highlights how critical this event is.
The celebration is set for February 2nd from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here at Arlington Town Hall, and this event is free. Reporting for ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
The dates for the Lunar New Year differ each year based on the cycle of the moon. It always falls, however, between January 20th and February 21st on the Gregorian calendar. The Bluebike's bike sharing service is about to cost a little bit more, surprise, for area users as a planned annual price hike for 2023 approaches and is set for Saturday, January 28th. The annual membership cost will jump $10 from $119 to $129 when paid up front. An option for monthly payments on year-long memberships will also see a spike of $1 from $12 per month to $13. There are also price hikes for single ride and adventure passes and corporate memberships. According to Your Arlington, income-eligible pricing for qualified individuals won't change. Bluebike says inflation and other related rising costs are behind the price increases. The Bluebike system spans 13 locations and operates over 400 stations with roughly 4,000 bikes. For more information, just go to bluebikes.com.
As William Shakespeare's Richard III eloquently said, "Now is the winter of our discontent," and he was actually celebrating the season. And now you can too. The Arlington Center for the Arts Winter Session is looking forward to the start of more classes and workshops in the upcoming weeks. The busy lineup includes many new subjects, as well as a great selection of community favorites like painting portraits, landscapes, creative cartooning, and jewelry making. It's clearly a creative outlet this winter to help you find inspiration through art making. You don't have to be a Michelangelo, Monet, Cassatt, or dare we say Warhol. Join ACA's Winter 2023 semester of dynamic art classes and workshops. Clearly, ACA has something for everyone this winter. Just go to the ACA website, acarts.org.
Just last week, the staff here at ACMi held its 2022 Arlington Community Media Annual General Meeting before the ACMi board right here at Studio A. It was a chance to take stock of our accomplishments over the past year and also a chance to show you what ACMi News has covered in 2022. And if you're interested in taking part in this weekly broadcast, you may want to see where we've been and where we intend to go looking forward.
I am Jeff Barn. I'm the news director for ACMi News. We put on a weekly show every week. We tape it on Thursday. And my right-hand man is right out there, editor Jared Sweet.
Jared, you want to be in the promo? No, thanks. Are you sure? Yep.
This year we have basically changed our graphics. We have new music. We have put new promos in. Just a lot of things. We've done a lot of stories as far as government's concerned, education, public, whatever's happening that week, we have it covered. Where do I start? Let's see. Well, now let me think back. As expected, ACMi News delivered its hyperlocal news coverage this past year each and every week. In just the past month on our YouTube channel alone, ACMi News coverage has had nearly 5,000 viewers, watching a total of 400 hours of hyperlocal content with nearly 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube page, and we aim to increase that number substantially in the new year. And we've had a lot of help. After all the isolation in the midst of the COVID crisis, we had interns and volunteers slowly returning to ACMi for its weekly newscast, which we tape every Thursday. We were fortunate to have several very active self-starting interns in the spring, summer, and fall of this year for ACMi News. Some interns wanted to do work behind the camera, while others tried their hand at on-air work like reporting and anchoring. And hey, one intern from Tufts decided to continue her work at ACMi even though her summer semester ended back in August, and she is now a regular weekly news anchor on our set. This past year, we reconnected with some former news interns who have gone to bigger and better things in the field of television news broadcasting from Bangor, Maine.
And I wanted to be an anchor and I wanted to be a reporter. And I had a professor there who told me ACMi would be the perfect fit for me.
To San Diego, California.
17's Moses Small is in studio now with more on these shootings.
Thank you, Jim. The Bakersfield Police Department and the Sheriff's Office used their firearms to stop 2 suspects last night, and here's what we've learned since then.
To Savannah, Georgia.
And an end to the shortage. Reporting in Savannah, Isabella Turst, Fox 28, News at 10.
ACMi has great resources, great equipment, great people teaching you, guiding you, that space to make mistakes. Those are really important things to look for in your first job.
These former ACMi News interns are the next generation of credible storytellers, and they attribute their success to, well, us. Ow. And this year, ACMi News was fortunate enough to score big news stories from half a world away that impacts all of us. And they were stories you didn't see on any Boston commercial TV news outlet. John and Natasha Sennett from Kyiv, Ukraine. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Glad to be here.
We recorded several interviews with Ukrainian residents trying to cope with the horrors of war in their nation, including a journalist who is now working full-time for a nonprofit called the Ukrainian PR Army, a group devoted solely to debunking false information coming out of the state-run media in Moscow.
And I hope that more people won't believe every lie that Putin says, because now I feel like people in Russia are like brainwashed.
It comes down to the offensive that's coming from the Ukrainians.
We also had the opportunity of interviewing a couple who fled Kyiv after the Russian army began targeting their capital.
But still, I will be going to bed this day, and I still don't have my sister. And tomorrow I will be waking up, and I still don't have my sister.
ACMi News also interviewed a Ukrainian refugee currently living in Portugal who was separated from her family after the Russians raided her northeast Ukrainian village just a few hundred yards from the Russian border.
His parachute opens at about 15,000 feet.
We also interviewed Francis Gary Powers Jr., the son of the infamous U-2 pilot Francis Gary Powers, who was shot down over Russian airspace in May of 1960. That story inspired the Steven Spielberg movie Bridge of Spies. But you were the only one who reacted physically.
I was the only one who had a chance. The way things were set up, I was in the car behind the president's car on the left hand.
And just 6 weeks ago, ACMi aired a news special entitled My Travels with Mrs. Kennedy, a half-hour interview with Clint Hill, Jacqueline Kennedy's personal and favorite Secret Service agent, who was the only agent to immediately act when shots rang out in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963.
Because I'd never discussed it with anybody. Talked to the Warren Commission, they asked pointed questions, but I really never talked to anybody. No agents, none of my family members. I never talked to anybody. And none of the agents actually did.
And I got to know Jimmy Stewart probably better than anybody I impersonated.
On a much lighter note, ACMi News was able to score interviews with a number of Hollywood celebrities, some of whom have ties to the Arlington area. We talked to actress-director Lee Purcell, actress Michael Learned from TV's The Waltons.
I grew up in Kansas, had never been out of Kansas in my life. I was a school teacher there. I said, if I don't leave now, I'm never going to get out of here.
Actress Dee Wallace, who starred in E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Comedian impersonator Rich Little.
Just close your eyes and you would think that Jimmy Stewart was there. You're watching the man who shot Liberty Valance and not someone who is so good at imitating him.
Well, Jim used to say to me, Rich, I wish I'd known you when I was making all those movies back in the 40s.
Actor impersonator Jim Meskimen.
I saw you on TikTok do Patrick Stewart. I'm thinking,
yes. Well, I tell you, I'd like nothing more than to be Patrick Stewart for just a moment with you. You've been a very gracious interviewer, and I'd be very happy to return anytime to comment on this and that, or just to stare blankly at you like some sort of Celtic mannequin.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I almost forgot. ACMi News won the nationally recognized Hometown Media Award for news access. Yes, ACMi News is now #1 in the nation for the year 2022. So many good memories. But we have done so many things this year, and we're very proud of the entire operation. And we're looking forward to bigger and better things. And hate to use a cliche, but taking it to the next level this year. We definitely want to increase our viewership. We want to increase our story count. And thank God that people are at least coping with COVID, that we can get the volunteers and the interns in here so they can also get started with their careers. And that's one of the most enjoyable parts of my job.
Clearly, it's exciting stuff. Do you want to take part in this broadcast, either by volunteering, interning, behind-the-scenes techie tasks, or reporting or anchoring?
Well, I'm the guy you want to talk to. Just call me, James Milan, Communications Manager here at ACMi at 781-777-1115, or email me, james@acmi.tv. And I promise you, we would love to hear from you. As you may already know, ACMi has you covered when it comes to local sports.
And this week was no different. Joining us in studio is ACMi Sports analyst Owen Tambor. Owen?
Thank you, guys. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's sports update from ACMi Sports. I'm Owen Tambor. In ice hockey, the Spy Punters boys team brought their record to 8-2 with a 4-1 win over Burlington Wednesday, with senior Jake Russell scoring goal number 1, while the girls played to a tie against Burlington. Despite the girls' tie, both teams now sit high in the rankings of Division I hockey in the state. And while we're talking about victories, Arlington boys basketball added to this week's tally with their win on Wednesday, when they mounted a comeback against Melrose and raced to a final score of 66-49. And in wrestling, the boys continued their winning streak Wednesday with a 51-12 win over Reading, bringing their impressive record to 5-1. Finally, AHF Gymnastics also had a great showing on Saturday as they came away with the win over Wakefield, 133-128. And that's everything from this week in Arlington Sports World. I'm Owen Tambor. And if you want to see more, check out acmi.tv/sports.
And finally, the Old Schwab Mill presents a discussion with area painters whose art is featured in the current exhibit, Look, Perspectives on Nature. This group exhibit, Saturday, January 28th, shows the work of 4 area artists and their landscape-based paintings. These unique paintings invite viewers to look closely at how each artist interprets nature, which in modern-day society includes the issue of climate change. This existential threat underlies the entire exhibit, which celebrates the beauty of the natural world. These works of art compare nature in its varied and changing forms, mindful that the balance of nature is so delicate. All 4 artists speak to how appreciating nature in light of the current world situation informs and inspires their work. For more information, just go to the Old Schwab Mill website, oldschwabmill.org. Again, that's oldschwabmill.org.
And that'll do it for us here this week at ACMi News. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm James Milan.
And I'm Summer Maxwell. We will see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMi Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.